This video covers page 19 of your notes. So on page 18, we wrote down the order of operations. So if you need to flip back and forth to look at those. But remember, we do our groupings first, exponents, multiplication and division from left to right, and then addition and subtraction also from left to right. So if we look at number 7, again, what I notice is we have a group right here before subtraction and a group right here before addition. So having those groupings kind of broken apart helps us because then we can do more than one thing at a time. So this first set, we have 9 minus 2 in parentheses and then squared on the outside. So you have to take care of what's inside the parentheses first. So 9 minus 2 is 7. 7 squared is 49. So I'm going to bring the 49 down. Then it's a subtraction sign, so bring that. So now we are looking at just the absolute value of 3 minus 17. So again, that subtraction sign comes straight down. That has nothing to do with the 3 minus 17. So we need to do 3 minus 17, which is negative 14, but that's still in the absolute value. So you need to remember that the absolute value of negative 14 is positive 14, so that's what comes down here. The minus sign just gets brought down. This cancels to a 14, so that's why we put it right there. Then we bring down our plus sign, and then it's just a 4. So now we have 49 minus 14 plus 4. And again, you can do that all in a row. Do not do 14 plus 4 and get 18. That does not work. That will give you the wrong answer. You would have to do negative 14 plus 4 if you're going to do it that way. So it's a lot easier just to put it all in one step, and you should get positive 39 for your answer. Number 8. Again, when I see this, I notice there's 3 separate sections. We have this square root with stuff happening, and then we have parentheses, and then we just have this 26. So the square root, let's take care of that first. We need to, when we look inside, we have 29 minus 2 squared. We need to do 2 squared, which is 4. 29 minus 4 is 25, but that's all still under the square root. So we need to do the square root of 25, which is just 5. So my left-hand section turns into a 5. Be really careful here. Now we have a multiplication sign that we bring down. Our middle section then has 11 minus 8 in parentheses squared. So we need to subtract 11 minus 8 and get 3. 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is 9. And then I can bring down the minus 26. So again, I did more than one step at once, and that is fine. It helps us not have to write so much stuff down. Just make sure you separate it into the groups. So now I need to do 5 times 9 is 45. 45 minus 26 gives me 19 for my final answer. So those are all just in a row. Now we have some fraction ones that look super scary, but all you do is you just take one thing at a time. So I'm going to cross this whole thing off. Obviously don't do that with your paper, but I can do it with mine. So just pretend that the top is a problem all on its own. What I notice is I have subtraction, I have addition, and then I have this 4 to the third that I need to get rid of. So 4 to the third power is 64. If you can just cross it off and then find your number, that's great. Otherwise, take the time to write down 18 minus 64 plus 25. And you should end up with negative 21. So I'm going to draw my line so I still have it. So negative 21 is my top number. So now I can scribble out the top in my case and just look at the bottom. The bottom says I need to take 28 minus 5 squared, and 5 squared is 25. Again, if you feel comfortable just crossing that out and putting a 25 and then subtracting and getting 3, that's fine, but your bottom number is 3. So now we can actually do this, and remember that means divide. Negative 21 divided by 3 is -7 for your final answer. So when you have a big scary fraction, all you need to do is you need to just do the whole top, get a number, do the whole bottom, get a number, and then your last step will be to divide whatever those two numbers are. Just make sure you keep the top number on the top and the bottom number on the bottom. So now we can look at 10. Again, ignore this bottom part. Just work across the top. I see two separate sections. The first section says take 4 squared, which is 16, times 6. That gives me 96. Minus 3 times 6 is 18. So 96 minus 18 gives me 78. So my top number is 78. Then I can do the same thing for the bottom number. If you want to, again, get rid of that, that's fine. We have subtraction and we have division, so we have to do the division first. That becomes 11 minus 5, so that's 6. So I have 78 divided by 6, which is 13 for my final answer. So again, it's not super tricky as long as you just take the top separately and the bottom separately and then finally divide. Number 11 is the same thing. Now here I have 3 parts to the top. So 2 to the 7th is 128. Then I'm going to bring down my minus sign. Again, you do not do 2 to the 3rd. You have to get the number in the parentheses all down to one number. So 5 minus 2 is 3 to the 3rd power. So if you need to rewrite it, it's 3 to the 3rd power, which is 27. And then don't forget the plus 3. So 128 minus 27 plus 3 gives us 104. I'm going to have to write that down here. So 104 is my top number. On the bottom, I'm going to bring down the 12 minus 7 times 2 is 14. Again, some of you are wanting to do the 12 minus 7 first. Order of operations says we have to multiply before we subtract. Make sure you do this in the correct order. 12 minus 14 is -2. So when you have 104 divided by -2, you're going to get -52. 1 positive divided by 1 negative is a negative. Number 12, this looks really scary, but this is kind of broken into 2 completely separate things. So you're going to get a number here, and you're going to get a number here, and then the last thing you're going to do is divide. So the absolute value of -34 is +34. Bring down the division. Now, the only thing you're looking at is that fraction right there. All right, so now you don't have to worry about anything in front of it. You're just looking at this. So for the top, 4 squared is 16. So I have 16 minus 6, which is 10. On the bottom, 3 minus 8 is -5. So 10 divided by -5 is -2. So you do actually do that division before you do the other division. So anytime you have a big fraction, you need to get that down to one number before you do anything else on the outside. So then we're going to do 34 divided by -2 and get -17 for our final answer. Okay, so if there's anything happening on the front or the back of a big fraction, you have to get that big fraction down into one number first before you divide or add or subtract, whatever it might need to be. Our last 2 are fractions, which look really scary, but again, you can use your fraction button on your calculator. For 13, I see that there's a subtraction and there's an addition that I'm going to separate. So I'm going to bring down 1/3 minus 7/6 times 9/14. Again, you can think about like 7 goes into there twice, 3 goes into there 2 times and 3 times, and you can do it that way, and you get 3/4. Or again, just use your fraction button. Plus 2/3 squared. Again, you can do that with your parentheses and your ABC button, or you can do 2 squared, which is 4, and 3 squared, which is 9 for 4/9. Now that it's all into fractions, again, you can use your ABC button unless you want to get your common denominators and everything. But we have 1/3 minus 3/4 plus 4/9. That ends up being 1/36. So it's no different than the rest of them. Just break them into parts and do each thing separately. Get it all down to addition and subtraction, then just put that all into one. Last one, the same thing. Here's a subtraction sign and here's an addition sign. So again, we have 3 things. So you need to do -3/10 divided by 6. You should get -1/20. Then you simply have -4/5 and plus 1/8. Those you just need to bring right along. So type those all in. You're going to get -29/40. So it's okay to get a fraction for these.